So United have got a nice quiet trip to Elland Road next. A good gentle way to start 2026. No. I'm expecting it to be feisty on Sunday. I'm expecting a tough game, and if United aren't in the races from the first whistle, then we're going to get overran. Simple as that. Now let's run through the Leeds preview, team news, predictions, and any changes I'm expecting or hopeful to see from Ruben Amorim. So Manchester United travelling to face Leeds at Elland Road on Sunday. A Leeds team who are, let's be honest, exceeding expectations since they came up this season. It was all about them staying in the league. I don't really think there's any questions about whether or not they're going to stay up. I think so anyway. So going into this game, I'm going to run through the team news from Ruben Amorim. Going to run through my predictions because there has to be changes from that game against Newcastle. I think there really does. Team news first, right? There is no team news. Well, the team news is that no one's going to be back from injury. That probably means that Mason Mount is missing still. He went off against Newcastle with what seemingly was a precautionary sub. No, he's not fit. So sometimes what that is. De Ligt, Maguire, both of those still missing. And the rest. Should be an interesting one. In terms of how Leeds are playing, I'm going to run through some of their results in a sec. But they're playing well. They're in good form. They haven't lost, I don't think, in their last 6. And that game against Liverpool, if you want to take an advantage that we've got, they had to play on Thursday night against Liverpool. Not exactly a long trip, but Thursday late kickoff to a Sunday early kickoff. Technically, United have got an extra few days. Not technically, literally. We've got an extra few days to recover in terms of between games. But playing once a week has hardly made United infinitely more intense. If anything, we look less intense this season. So I don't really think that plays on it too much. But yeah, the results here. Look at the last 6 games. Beating Chelsea. Drawing against Liverpool. Was that in the league? I think it was. Drawing against Brentford, beating Palace, drawing against Sunderland, and drawing against Liverpool. Given that their ambition this season was to stay up, they are absolutely exceeding expectations. And although you looked at the table down there, they're down in 16th place. They've only conceded what? Is it 3 more goals? 3 more goals than Man United in 19 games. Let's run through the teams, okay? You can let me know what your predictions are in the comments. But Leeds, they kind of got a little bit of a fluid formation. Sometimes they can switch it. But they play with 3 at the back against Liverpool. So let's assume they're going to be playing the same against Manchester United. I think you can see where the danger is going to be straight away. This feels, on paper, I think, that we should see a similar approach from United that we saw against Villa. Now, what we saw against Villa, obviously Mason Mount's not playing, but you saw that position kind of drop in a little bit, and then United kind of ended up going into split strikers, which is something that I don't know why we haven't done this earlier. I don't know why we haven't done this more. I kind of think that the same thing may well happen again, and that you might see, look, Xerxes, he was taken off at half-time. It was considered a tactical sub. But Sesko, he could have and should have scored. These are the 2 players that I'm looking to perform against Leeds. Do I think we're going to have an incredible amount of chances right now? Not really. Do I think that United are going to play with 4 at the back? I don't actually know. But what I think we shouldn't do is play with the same 5 at the back formation that we used against Wolves that we shouldn't have used against Wolves. I don't think it helped us. I think, if anything, it hindered us. And I would drop Cunha to be that 3rd midfielder. That's what Mason Mount did against Villa. And if Mason Mount was in this game, I would say him to do that. But Cunha receiving the ball in that situation, you know what he can do. He can drive forward. It's the best part of Cunha's game, which I think we've seen pretty much all season. But again, we've not seen enough goal involvements from a man who I definitely can see as a leader. I think he's already been leading, but just not the end result. Sesko, hey, I've already mentioned him there. The question is, do you think we're going to see Dorgu come down here, play on the right wing again? I mean, it's either that or you play this. As I said, you drop one of the inside forwards. Not that you drop him to become a permanent number 10, but just that player drops in and then maybe pushes back up. Because if you don't do that, you know we're going to get overrun in midfield. You can see that. Even in that setup there, it's 3-on-1. I think United are going to have to play narrow and compact to play well against this Leeds team. All season long, we've been playing better when we haven't had as much of the ball. When we've been playing against teams that leave space. Now, I don't know whether Leeds are going to do that. If you looked at their performance against Liverpool, maybe it's a little bit different because they're playing Liverpool at Anfield compared to playing United at Elland Road. The crowd is going to be bang up for it. We know that. The fact that it's an early kickoff, I think, helps United in that sense. Because if it was a late kickoff like Liverpool at Anfield, I think that would have just made it even more hostile. I think United are going to have to keep it narrow and keep it compact. So I don't expect United to be having whoever it is. And maybe that's kind of feeding the point there that I don't think Dorgu should be playing out wide right. And I don't think United should be playing with that forward the back system. I think this is going to be a game where we have less than... If we win it, right? I think it's a game where we have less than 50% possession. I think it's a game where we stay really narrow. We don't really use too much width. Maybe use the overlapping wing-backs as the width. But largely, I think it will be quite central. And I think that we need to drop that third man into midfield. And I would go for Cunha, play Sesko and Xerxes up front. What else could you do from the bench, realistically, here, right? You could start Lacey. You could start one of the Fletcher twins further forward. You could start Mantato. You could push Dorgu further forward. It's about as much as we've got right now. Without Ahmad and without Mbeumo, we've lost a massive amount of creative spark. And without Bruno, well, you've lost all three of them. The three main creative hubs in our team are all out of it. We're not going to be creating chances left, right and centre. So you're going to have to be a little bit down and dirty in this game. And even if we were flowing, going to play Leeds at Elland Road, it's not going to be an easy trip for us. The fact that we're coming into this off the back of that Wolves game felt like a real step backwards because it felt like a repetition of mistakes and problems that we saw against Everton and West Ham that I thought and hoped that we had corrected. My prediction for this game, I'm probably going to go for a score draw, if I'm honest. Maybe a 1-1. Maybe even a 2-2. I'll go for 1-1. I think if United don't try and add a third person into that midfield, Leeds are going to really find it easy to play through. And just through us, really. That was my fear going into the Villa game, and Amorim surprised me. I hope the same thing happens in this game. So the only... in fact, is there any change? That's no changes from me. The only change is the fact that I want to see Cunha dropping in and being an extra body in midfield. Now, you could put Xerxes there and could play Cunha further forward. But I think Cunha will be better at creating and actually holding players off and dribbling through tight spaces because it will be a tight space. Right? My prediction's 1-1. That's the only change I would make. What's yours? Let me know in the comments. Even if we were in good form, this is a hard game. But Leeds have been extremely defensively resolute in these last 6 games. I don't think they're going to give up too many chances. And the fact is, they're going to run through us unless we're chasing those second balls and playing with the same sort of intensity that we showed in the Wolves game, in the first half against Bournemouth. How in the first half against Newcastle? Just not what we did against Wolves. Not again.